I was married to Ben for 18 long years, but I had finally reached my breaking point and asked for a divorce. He moved away, closer to his mom, leaving me to raise our kids on my own with little support and no visits. After some time had passed, I thought it would be a good idea to get a family portrait taken. We went to the studio and looked through the digital images to choose the ones we liked. During this process, my oldest child asked if we could send one to their grandma, Ben's mother. I didn't think she would want a picture with me in it, so I suggested getting a picture of just the kids for her instead. But my oldest insisted that Grandma would want a picture of all of us, including me. Apparently, she always asked about me and how I was doing, which surprised me. I found out from Ben's best friend that he was upset because his mom told him he had messed up by losing the best thing that ever happened to him. It turns out she still remained friends with me on social media. I found it kind of surprising considering the way my ex had treated me, being verbally and emotionally abusive throughout our marriage. I only saw his mom a few times a year during Christmas, and we never really got close. In that moment, my oldest decided to call Grandma right there in the studio. They asked her if she wanted a picture with me in it or just the kids. To my surprise, Grandma requested a picture with all of us, including me. So I made the decision to order a nice glossy 8x10 portrait, which I matted and framed before mailing it to her. As it turned out, she hung the picture right in the entryway of her home. Every time my ex walked in, he would see my smiling face staring back at him. It's quite amusing to think about the expression on his face when he first saw it. I just wish I could have been there to witness it.
Back when I was 21 years old, I dated and got engaged to my ex, who was 32 at the time. Looking back, the age difference was the first warning sign, among many others that popped up like flags in a high school band. Despite him making more money, I was working 2 jobs and going to welding school full-time, paying for everything myself. After 6 months of being engaged, I discovered that he was cheating on me with one of his exes. So, naturally, I ended the relationship. As a petty side note unrelated to the story, that ex of his ended up being my roommate for 3 years, and we actually became good friends. A few months went by, and it became clear that I wasn't going back to him. Suddenly, he launched a relentless campaign to get back the $190 ring he had bought on Amazon. Keep in mind, I was still busy with school and work, so returning that cheap ring wasn't my top priority. But after enduring his constant harassment, I finally gave in and returned the ring. However, I didn't stop there. I took some thick steel plates, cut them into a cube shape, and welded it shut. I placed the ring inside the cube, creating a satisfying tinkling sound whenever it was shaken. I mailed the cube back to him and went about my life without giving it much thought, until my birthday this month. According to a friend, my ex still has that cube and hasn't been able to retrieve the Amazon ring. He's still fuming with anger and loves to rant about the whole ordeal even to this day. I have no regrets and find great joy in knowing that I've been irritating him for the past 10 years.
After being single again for 3 years, my ex-boyfriend decided to get back at me by cutting down the willow tree where we had our first kiss. It was a special moment for us, as the branches created a cozy green canopy that shielded us from the outside world. I'm mostly upset that this romantic memory was tainted by his petty act. I didn't waste any time forwarding his bragging text to the property manager of our fourplex. However, that's not where the revenge ends. A few weekends later, I spotted him in the garden with a collection of tools, rototillers, pickaxes, shovels, and whatnot. Turns out the landlord made him clear away the remains of the old tree, dig out the stump, and plant a new willow tree as a consequence, instead of facing legal trouble. I assume he had to pay them some money too, but I can't confirm for sure. Now, here comes the petty revenge. After a long day of laborious work, covered in mud and sweat, my ex had the audacity to ask if he could shower off before leaving. My response, and I quote, was a resounding, "Fuck no." And so my ex, with his dirty and sweaty backside, had no choice but to sit in his precious Dodge Ram pickup truck, a vehicle he treated like it was made of fragile glass and kept in plastic sleeves like a rare Pokemon card. I witnessed his feeble attempt to protect the seat with newspapers, only to curse 1,000 times when he realized the ink was rubbing off. It didn't make up for the loss of the beautiful tree or the tarnished memory it held, but it confirmed that breaking up with him was the right decision.
My ex turned out to be a narcissistic sociopath, which I only discovered 6 months into our relationship. Unfortunately, I realized I was pregnant, and he had intentionally sabotaged the condoms without my knowledge. He insisted that I quit my jobs while he remained unemployed until later in the relationship, making me entirely dependent on him. Fast forward to the end of the relationship, where he physically assaulted me. I immediately called the police, gathered my belongings, and sought medical attention before heading to the police station. That same night, my mom picked me up and brought me back to her house. 2 months later, my ex was behind bars, awaiting his hearing. I attended his sentencing hearing, and to my surprise, I was given the opportunity to speak, along with my parents. He couldn't respond to any of us and had to listen to everything we said. My mom referred to him as a shitty sperm donor and a no-good methed-out bum. My dad unleashed his anger, and I genuinely thought he might try to harm him. When it was finally my turn, I let out all my frustrations, expressing how much of an asshole he was and how much I despised him. As I wrapped up my speech, I locked eyes with him and added, "By the way, you have a minuscule and oddly shaped penis." The judge had to turn away to stifle her laughter. It was truly the best day ever.
Please like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you.